We want to thank you for coming out and honoring the life of Lavoy Finicum. Although I didn't personally know him, I think we're all here, all of us here share his heart and devotion to the belief that we are created free men and women under God. This was something he believed so strongly that he gave his life for this cause, which is one of the greatest acts of love mentioned in the Bible. Lavoy was not just an American cattle rancher, but a husband, father, grandfather, foster parent, lifetime dedication to his church, and eternal commitment to God. Today is not the time to criticize the actions that were taken that led to the death of Lavoy. Those days are coming, and justice will be served in time. His death was not in vain, because what he believed and fought for has now brought attention to an overreaching federal government, and his sudden and tragic death opened the eyes of this nation. Because of his tragic death and the manners his life was taken in, individual states are now looking into proposing new laws in an attempt to take back land from the federal government that was never meant to be theirs in the first place, according to the United States Constitution. As an example, in Utah, up to 33.3 million acres of land now occupied by the federal government is being looked at as being taken back by the state. His plight has only ignited a fire inside of American patriots to never give up on fighting to restore the fundamental principles of the U.S. Constitution and bring back this country back to a true representative republic as it was intended. In the days of old, the term patriot was anyone who loved this country, would fight to protect it at any cost, and believed we were given the right of freedom by God, no more, no less. Now the term patriot has become a synonym to the word terrorism. To some, and actual terrorists have been labeled the Baltimore protesters. Regardless of what political side people are on, I think we can all agree that our country is broken and needs healing. We want to see the restoration of this country. The Bible has a very clear answer that has been staring at us in the face since the beginning. 1 Chronicles 7:14. You guys can repeat it if you know the scripture. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, and I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. Why have we seen the removal of God's protection over the country? God has been kicked out of the public schools since 1962. To mention Jesus on most college campuses are met with ridicule, mockery, and sometimes expulsion. Jesus said in Matthew 10:32, whosoever shall confess me before men, him I will confess also before my Father which is in heaven. Since 1970, we have performed over 56 million abortions. Proverbs 6:7, God hates the shedding of innocent blood. Jeremiah 1:4, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Psalms 127:3, see, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of their womb is his reward. We have now not only accepted sin, but we have legislated sin and justified those acts that God has opposed, but yet we will accept God's protective covering, still expect his protective covering without confession or renouncing of our sin as a nation. We have removed manger scenes in public places because it's highly offensive, but call urinating on a cross of Christ's art and publicly funded. We take a praying coach at a football game and we call that offensive, and we fire the people responsible, and we call it appalling behavior. Self-designed evolution is taught as science fact, but yet biblical creation is not allowed to even be spoken in school. Christian bakers are sued and forced into bankruptcy for standing up for their religious beliefs, but atheists can refuse service to a Christian with no recourse. God has been mocked in public with no outrage by our leaders of this country, and often it's by the leaders of this country. Galatians 6:7, be not deceived. God is not mocked, and whosoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. Another scripture, Isaiah 5:20, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Until we realize that it was God that gave us this great nation and the blessings that we have, until we realize that it's the same blessings He gave to Abraham, we're doomed. Why? God blessed the humility and godly devotion of the founding fathers by giving us His covering of protection as a nation. It's what made us strong and the greatest nation on the planet. But we have removed God and put Him aside and have put worldly things in place of Him. And by doing that, have removed God's spiritual protection over us. This is why we are seeing our world falling apart. God has given us the answer. Until we once again seek God and put him first, we will not see the restoration described in 1 Chronicles. Our country has turned our backs on God, and we are now seeing the consequences of that decision. We need to acknowledge him before men once more, as our founding fathers did, and give him the glory because he is the beginning and the end. Lavoy Finicum was a man who honored God, loved his family, loved his country. He gave his life trying to bring answers to America, bring answers and awareness to America of a corrupt system that has turned its back on God. We need to follow the examples of Lavoy Finicum and know that we are strong in numbers, but no amount of numbers will succeed if we not place God first. Even in this tragedy, understand that there is a time for peace and a time for war, a time to love and a time to hate, a time to be born and a time to die. Everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those that love God and to those who are called according to his purpose. In closing, Lavoy was called according to God's purpose, and he heeded that call. As tragic as this was, all things will work together to glorify God in the end. His death has not been or will not be in vain. God will not forget his efforts, and this nation has been ignited because of the works and dedication of Lavoy Finicum. Rest in peace, Lavoy. We'll take it from here. Thank you.